Hey YouTube, so today I'm going to be talking about my rubber ducky enclosure. They were my first species that I had, or pretty much my first species I had, so I wanted to create a special enclosure for them. So I did this setup to make it look pretty, and I was like, oh, I'm going to see the duckies climbing all over the wall, and they're going to be in the moss, and it's going to be cute. Well, I didn't know at the time that Cubaris are actually nighttime critters, which means the rubber duckies, since they're Cubaris, are nighttime critters, and so they will not be out during the day. So there, you can see, are no duckies. At night, however, so once the light goes out and it's been sitting for an hour or so in the darkness, if I turn the light back on, come in, I will see a ducky or two or three on the wall roaming about, and then I'll see a few in the moss as well. And then obviously there'll be some out here, some feeding, but yeah, so just so you know, rubber duckies are cute, but they're nighttime critters, so don't expect them to be out during the day for you to be viewing at. Also, they don't like to be messed with. The more you pick up a cork bark and look at them, the less you will see and the less often you will see them. And that is because they also are burrowers, so they like to burrow into the substrate. So, if you're like, hey, I got these rubber duckies and I don't really ever see them, I'm trying to look for them all the time. That's why they're like, hey, I don't want to be messed with. I'm going to dig deeper down into the soil to not be disturbed. I'll do a cork bark flip later just so you can see them, but they don't like it when you mess with their, habitat, so to speak, very often. Or really ever, but you want to look at them, So for, like I said, they're burrowers. So I'll talk about the substrate now. So you can see that they have a deep substrate. I give them a deep substrate, maybe about 2.5 inches. And you can also see that it's pretty moist. So this is not wet, like it's not sopping wet, but it's moist. And it stayed moist, I believe, because of two things. First thing is I spray this like every 2 days. So this, and there's also the pod wick in there, but that just helps this area stay more wet. So I missed the moss every 2 days or so, and that's to help this grow and to help create a wet, humid zone. There's leaf bug in the background. So that's why this is, I think, more humid, one of the reasons, or moist. And then the other reason is because I created this little buffer of charcoal, and then you can see the mesh. And so it kind of gets watered from below. So, I'll water the moss, and then it'll drip down, and then the water will spread throughout the base, and that kind of helps this stay more wet. You can kind of see a comparison. These are the magic potions, and you can see their dry area. So this is their dry area, kind of a little bit more wet. And then really wet, well, not really wet, but really wet comparative to that. And then the ducky is about the same. But you can see that there is not really any zone that's dry for the duckies, at least not here. I'm sure on the side, if we were to look at this side, there might be some dry zones, or, if some areas in here might be dry. But so far my duckies have been pretty good. They're breeding. I haven't had any crash on me, so I think this has been fine. Generally they do like wet and dry zones, more so like this, but my duckies have been okay with a wet and wetter zone, if you will. But this, I have not misted or anything. Like the only time I missed this area is when I put new leaves down. So every few weeks I'll lift the cork bark up, sprinkle new leaves, and then spray the new leaves, and then put the cork bark back down. And that just helps replenish their food, which is the leaves. And yeah. Also the substrate, I just recently added more substrate, so you can, I don't know if you can see, there's kind of a dip. It goes further down. So I filled that back up a little bit. So I added new substrate, because it's always good to give them new substrate, because they are eating away at it, so it will drop. The substrate will drop, and then you want to replenish it. So I put new substrate in, kind of mix it up. These are burrowers anyway, so it's fine to mix it up because that's what they do, they burrow. So, if you mix the pods up within the soil, it's totally fine because they can just find their way to the top anytime. So this is what I have. Once again, deep substrate because they burrow. Try not to mess with them too much. So if you want to see them, maybe create an enclosure like this where you can admire them. I'll put some video that I have of them climbing on the wall at the end of this, so you can see what I envisioned it has happened. The duckies climbing all over, and then 30, I would say, percent wet zone, wet, and then 70% dry. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the duckies. Also, this is a 10-gallon tank, so I heard that they liked a lot of room, which may or may not be true. So I started out with a big tank for like 10 or 20 duckies, and it did take a long time for them to breed because A, they're slow breeders in and of themselves, and then B, I'm giving them more room, so they're less likely to breed. So if you want your critters to breed faster, you give them small spaces. But by giving them this large space, I don't have to worry about my population for a very, 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 very long time. Like, I will not have to move them into a larger enclosure for maybe ever, because there's so much space in here for them. And by the time I get overrun, like if I ever will get overrun, I'm selling them off. So they're not gonna. I'm not gonna have to worry about the population that much. So yeah, that's the enclosure. The plants, I planted plants in here, and that is once again to make it look nicer. And then also that helps with the soil. So soil over time will build up ammonia, because while you may have springtails eating away at their poop, the springtails are not eating all of their poop. So it's good for the plants they help with the ammonia buildup in the soil, so that we don't have to change out the substrate. But like I said, it's still good to not change, but add to the substrate a little bit and then mix it up. So that way they have fresh food, if you will, because they do eat at the substrate. So by adding more substrate in there, you are giving them fresh food. Because they eat the leaves and they eat the decomposing stuff. And I will also give them fish food. So I will give them this stuff because they really like this. I'll also give them like a shrimp or two occasionally. This freeze-dried shrimp, they'll eat these. My rubber duckies will not. Not every Cubaris I've had eats all the same food. The fish flakes seem to be pretty general that my Cubaris will eat them. These, I want to say pretty general, but like when I had lemon blues, my lemon blues actually didn't eat these, even though the person I got the lemon blues from said that his did eat these. So I don't know. You just have to kind of experiment around. But I haven't really experimented too much because I don't really want to risk losing them to something. Like, giving them, I've heard of people like, oh, my snake sheds, I'm going to give him snake skin. And then they're like, oh, my entire population died because the snake had some sort of disease and they ate the snake skin and they got poisoned from it. So I try not to give my isopods weird things. I've just stuck to tried and true food, which, once again, leaves, obviously, hardwood leaves. The freeze-dried river shrimp for these guys at least, and the fish food, which has been eaten by most of my isopods. I should say most of my uncommon isopods. I don't give my ultra rare isopods the fish food because they eat different things. They eat lichen. I haven't really given the rubber duckies lichen sticks. Maybe I should try that. I've given other isopods lichen sticks and they haven't really eaten away at it. So, once again, the key to a Cubaris diet, more specifically rubber ducky, is calcium. So you just want to make sure that they have like cuttlebone, or I have this limestone in here, and this is a limestone based rock as well. So that was my idea, is that they could eat away at this wall, they could crawl around it and eat away at it, and then I also have these that I'll throw in there as well. Crushed up limestone that acts as their calcium. So you want to make sure that they have calcium, because calcium is very important to their diet. Key things about rubber duckies is calcium, and the second key thing is humidity. So you want to make sure they have a humid environment, about 75% I would say, if not higher, and then calcium. So that's pretty much all I have for the duckies. So once again, to recap, they are nighttime critters. You will not see them during the day. As you can see, there are none during the day. There are none out. You won't see them. They're hiding. They like nighttime. Second thing, they're burrowers, so deep substrate, and then humidity and calcium are key. So crushed limestone, there's the brand, Bioactive Supply. You can Google this, I'll link it. And then, if you want limestone rock like this, or if you want to create something like this, you can. This is all limestone-based rock. And it is pretty cool to see them at night, to see a few of them crawling out and about into the little cubbies. Like, there'll be some that will actually go here. And yeah, that's my enclosure for the rubber duckies. If you like that sticker, I will link to where you could get that sticker. It's Toykatu on Instagram. Makes those. That's his artwork, and then sells them. But yeah, let me know what questions you have. Rubber duckies, I guess, are the most popular of the isopod. So you just want to make sure that, when you get them, you know that they're not going to be active. And as much as you would want to, see them and mess with them and look at them, do cork bark pulls, or you don't want to really mess with them, because they will burrow and they will hide, and they won't come back out until they feel safe, and that may take a while. And if they're doing that, they're not breeding. So if you want your duckies to breed, you just let them be. And then, every once in a while, you can flip a cork bark. Or if you create an enclosure like this, then you just flip the light on, after it's been dark for a few hours, and then you can see them crawling without disturbing them. So I'll do a cork bark flip. I think generally this one has more. So you can see I have a mixture of blonde and normal ones. I would say that the blondes are, so, by doing this, I accept the fact that over time I will not have one of the species, because one will breed out. And so far I think the blondes have been breeding out. So, and there is a blonde baby there. But in general, I would say I have a lot more of the normal duckies than I do the blondes. Like, I don't see as many blondes as I do the normal duckies. But there they are. Cute little ducky faces. And yeah, you can see them. They're like, no, you can't see me. I want to hide. So he's trying to hide. So, alright, I'll stop disturbing you. That's all I have for my rubber ducky enclosure. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you have any feedback for me of what I could do better, things I maybe didn't cover that I could cover in future videos. And if you like the video, I would appreciate you hitting that thumbs up button. And also, if you want to check out more cool species, because rubber duckies are actually one of my lower end species, then subscribe to my videos and you can get notified when I release those videos of the cooler, higher end species, which some are over there.